They are highly trained athletes. They are the fastest dogs in the world, and they earn a lot of money. What happens to them after they finish their short, illustrious careers? We'll get a look at the American Greyhound racing dog, their lives behind the scenes, and what their futures promise to be when they retire. Then it's a sport that started 85 years ago in Alaska and is spreading across North America. It's called sled dog racing. They are the world's best pulling dogs. They live for the excitement and adventure of racing in the frozen tundra. We'll meet the dogs and owners and share a few moments in the world of sled dog racing. And if your business is drugs, then you better not meet our next guest. Trained in the Netherlands, he can seek out and find any illegal substance available, and he is the best at it. Meet Mardo, a bona fide police officer who takes his job real serious. We'll meet his handler, and we will understand the use and possession of drugs can be real stupid. All this is coming up next on Those Amazing Dogs. It is known as the sport of queens, and they are the fastest dogs in the world. They are the Greyhound race dogs, and some of them can reach speeds of over 38 miles per hour. We visited the Fox Valley Racetrack in Kaukauna, Wisconsin, and talked to race dog trainer Steve Lassiter about the history of Greyhound dog racing.
They go back, they've had, pictures in the pyramids of Greyhound-looking dogs, but the English and Irish mainly is where they came from here, and they were brought over here initially to get rid of pests, jackrabbits and coyotes and stuff like that. And people just started coursing them, racing them individually like that, and then it got to be a business. So, hey, let's do it for money, because everybody enjoyed the sport. It's really great.
And just what is the racing life of a professional race dog?
It depends on the animal and sometimes the breeding, but normally I'd say any dog, 3.5, 4 years of racing career. In fact, I have a dog right there that's 6 years old and still racing. So it depends. The steeper the competition, the less likely, the less time they spend on the track. But a smaller track like this, dog can run until 7 or 8 years old.
What can an average professional dog earn if he's average?
Average, I'd say, if he runs at a major track, I'd say 50, 75,000 is reasonable. And a smaller track, in a career, probably 20,000 per dog.
Race dogs get a special diet for racing.
We have macaroni, greens, peaches, and some carrots in here. And a little bit of brown sugar, vitamin supplement, and meat. And this is just the basics. I'm fixing to pull this on the other side here in a second. We're going to put high-pro Purina in here and biscuit, which will finish it out. So
that's pretty overall diet, even for a human almost.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Before every race, each dog receives a thorough examination by the trainer. Steve walks us through one.
Every dog has a pre-race examination. Most trainers do this, and they do it after a race. And what we do is we check, make sure the dog has no injuries. We check, make sure their ears are clean. We check their teeth. We check their toenails, and if they need cutting, we cut them. Give them a little cut job here. She doesn't need hers cut. And give them a nice brush job, get that coat nice and shiny, make them feel good. Just generally check out, make sure there's nothing wrong with the dog, make sure everything's race ready. And they love this right here. Everyone, if I let them all out right now, there'd be 10 of them trying to get up here because they love the attention they get when they're on the bench. Don't fly.
The Greyhound is one of nature's most gentle animals and, according to Steve, one of the best for kids.
As far as temperament of these dogs concerned, I've never been bit, ever. And they're great.
22 years?
In 20, never been bit. And they're great with kids. You know, they're raised together. They're a social animal. And you take them out of this environment here and put them in a house, they take to the people in the home and the children just like they would, you know, any of the rest of the dogs here.
How do names get picked?
The dog owners pick those, and they send them to the national, and they determine whether they've been, another dog is named that. If they are, then they have 2 or 3 choices, and they take the one that's not been named. And once a dog is retired, nobody else can have that name until the dog's been dead for 10 years. This one here is going to be a dog that's probably adopted before long. Sally, smile, Sally. You can eat my mother, smile.
The adoption program is a key concern among dog tracks around the country. Here in Wisconsin, it is the law. Karen Gibson, adoption director for the Fox Valley Track, explains.
This program started in July of 1990. About 2 weeks before the track actually opened, we received our first dog. It was a dog who just had been injured slightly, and they weren't going to be able to race him. So we adopted our first dog out in August of 1990. Wisconsin is the only state that has a mandated adoption program that must be an on-site facility funded totally by the track, which guarantees that all the racers get a home when their careers are over. It costs $75 in the state of Wisconsin to adopt a dog from any of the tracks. That's a set fee by the Racing Commission. And that fee includes the dog, a spay or neuter, teeth cleaning, vaccinations, a heartworm test, and a heartworm preventative collar and tag, which is pretty reasonable for an excellent pet.
How old are these dogs usually?
The dogs can be anywhere from just under 2 years old to about 5. All greyhounds are tattooed in both ears. In the right ear, they've got their birth date. She's got a 9, a 0, and an E, which means that she was born in September of 1990. And each puppy in the litter has a letter designation, A, B, C, D, E, whatever, so that you can tell the difference between the pups. In the left ear, the dogs have a 5-digit registration number, which is for security purposes to ensure that the dogs can't be stolen. And also when the dogs race, they're checked to make sure that the proper dog is racing.
If you would like more information on the Greyhound Racing Dog Adoption Program, please contact your local racetrack. Most of them have a similar program in place. Coming up next on Those Amazing Dogs, they pull for the sheer joy of competition. They are the American Sled Dog. Stay tuned. Sport that began almost 85 years ago when the first race was held. It was called the first All-Alaska Sweepstakes back in 1908, which pitted dog sled teams against one another between Nome and Candle, Alaska, a distance of 408 miles. Our cameras traveled to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan to the 3rd annual UP 200 that originates in Marquette, Michigan. This grueling race has a wide variety of terrain, including open lake running and river running. It's described as a mini Iditarod because of its challenging yet fun 240-mile course. This year, there are at least 27 10-dog teams that participated from all over the United States. The race began at 11 p.m. in Marquette, Michigan, and with the first checkpoint in Chatham, the second in Rapid River, the first leg of the race ends in Escanaba, almost 7 hours later, covering almost 130 miles. Here the dogs and mushers, that's what the drivers of the sleds are called, take a long rest and prepare for the final 107 miles back to Marquette. We asked some of the mushers during this respite why they got involved in sled dog.
When I was a kid, I liked Sergeant Preston. It was my favorite show on the radio. I always thought there was a sense of adventure to it. So then I started out with a couple of dogs, and it went downhill from there. Now I have a lot of dogs.
Musher Dennis Laboda has his reasons.
I got involved with sled dogs when I was 13 years old.
How'd you get involved?
Well, I had a guy move into our neighborhood when I was a kid, had sled dogs, and I ended up helping him put his kennel in, and we got involved with racing through him. And now I have my own children involved in racing.
Musher Brad Bazarnsky got his start after reading an article.
I read an article about 14 years ago, went over and visited this person and brought home 3 dogs. Now I got 50.
How many events you been in?
I usually run 3 or 4 a year. This is the third one this year. I've been in the John Bear Grease, the 500 miler, Mid-Minnesota 150 miler, and now the UP 240 here.
Training these great athletes has some creative approaches. Elaine Tompkins explains.
Tell me, where are you from?
We're from Saltcote, Saskatchewan, which is about mid-Saskatchewan, right on the east coast, east border.
Uh-huh. How long you been in dog sled racing?
About 10 years, but I don't do much of the racing. I do the training and my husband does the racing. Well, we start training in August. Start about 4 miles and work up. Most of our training, I think we train different than most people because we train heavy and hard. Like we make our dogs work. We don't worry about speed or stuff like that until later on in training. Like we start training, our dogs pull a Honda car.
A Honda car?
Yeah, with the motor idling. They pull the car. That teaches them to work, and that way we can teach them whoa and jee-haw, and just, that's when they learn.
One of the key elements of a successful race is the medical attention paid to the dogs themselves.
We had a branch in the beginning of the race that hit the eye, corner of the eye on the skin of the dog, and we asked the vet at this point to take a look at it, and it's a minor cut is what it is, but they do want to give it attention to try and take care of it.
Like our last segment, these athletes are fed high-protein diets to maintain stamina and muscle tone.
Oh, it's a racing formula, and they work with the racers to develop it. And I've fed it for 2 years now, and the dogs seem to do real well on it. Mix it with like 50% meat, give it a little taste or a little change of taste, and they like it.
And the winner of this fantastic race was the team of Jamie Nelson. And guess who came in second? The team of Dennis Laboda. After 85 years, the sport of dog sled racing is emerging to be one of the most exciting, if not unusual, spectator sports you can witness today. Coming up next on Those Amazing Dogs, if your business is drugs, here comes Mardo. Stay tuned. In the war on drugs, a formidable weapon resides in Wisconsin at the Brown County Sheriff's Department, and his name is Mardo. Officer Jeff Sanborn describes his charge.
Mardo's a German Shepherd, imported from the Netherlands. He's 3.5 years old. He's a dual-purpose police dog, which is off meaning that he's used on the patrol end of it as well as narcotics detection. Mardo on the patrol end of it is used for building searching, used for tracking, is used for searches for lost people, searches for suspects, searches for evidence that might be discarded after a crime. He's used for officer protection. He's an excellent asset. He doesn't replace officers, he's just another tool for law enforcement. On the narcotics end of it, Mardo's trained in the detection of marijuana, cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, and opium. He has numerous seizures, well over hundreds of pounds of marijuana, numerous seizures of cocaine. He's just an excellent tool for law enforcement.
Training a valuable animal such as this begins at an early age.
You can start training anywhere from 8-9 weeks up with a puppy. You can start training dogs with obedience training. makes it easier to pick out a good police dog by the time they're a year old. I train continuously. I train every day with Mardo.
And what makes for a good police dog?
It's a good drug dog. You want a dog that's got an excellent play drive. A dog that just loves to play, loves to have play with a ball, tug of war. The reason being is with drug work, his reward is all praise or play. He's got a ball that you'll see as a reward. He doesn't care about the drugs. He doesn't like the taste of them. He doesn't like the smell of them. He just knows if he finds the drugs, he gets to play with that ball. If you have a dog that doesn't like to play, he has no reason to find the drugs for you.
An intake of high protein is an essential part of his diet.
He eats 1 time a day dry dog food. His system is the same. I don't like to feed him table scraps. Mixes up the dog system. It's a very high protein. He's a very active dog, a police dog. So you want a very high fat, high protein diet for the dog.
This isn't one of those 9 to 5 kind of work days.
Yes, we work all nights. Our shift at night is a 10-hour shift, 9 at night till 7 in the morning. Through shift change, that's the highest area where the dog would be needed. On the patrol end of it on traffic stops, after chases, I respond to all chases that might be in the area. The majority of chases ends up with the driver or occupants running from the scene. The dog would be used to track that party that might run from the scene. Any felony traffic stops, if say a bank robbery suspect or any type of felony traffic stop, I can use the dog. If somebody's afraid to or does not come out of the vehicle on our command, I can send the dog into that vehicle. If people come out of the vehicle, we'll have them leave the door open. I can send the dog into that vehicle to do a search. It's much safer than having us walk up and look into that vehicle.
Officer Sanborn will now demonstrate Mardo's special talent for finding illegal contraband from a wrecked car we set up, especially for this program.
Yeah, get the gift out of there. That's a boy. Get that out of there. Get that out of there. Get that out of there. Get it out of there. Get that out of there. Get it out of there. Give me that. Give me that out of there. That's a boy. Get the gift. Get that out of there. Get it out of there. That's a boy. Good boy. That's a boy. Get the gift. Get the gift out of there. That's a boy. Good boy. Get that out of there. Get that out of there. That's a boy. Good boy. Good boy. Where's the gift?
When I'm doing a search of a vehicle, I inform the occupants of the vehicle that it would be of their best interest to tell me if there is any narcotics in or on the vehicle, because the dog does indicate aggressively, and he, in turn, will do damage to your vehicle.
Good boy.
So it is in their best interest to tell the truth.
That's a boy.
As you can see, in the war on drugs, Mardo is a formidable weapon. It would be wise to keep clear of this county if your business is illegal drugs.
Good boy. That's a boy. Get the gift. Get the gift out of there. That's a boy. Good boy. Get that out of there.
Hi, I'm Richard Pannier, and this is Andy. He's a blue merle Sheltie. He's quite a beautiful animal. What we learned in the last half hour of those amazing dogs is, well, we visited the Greyhound racetrack, and we've seen what beautiful animals as Greyhound dogs are, how an animal so gentle and so pretty can be so very fast. In the second segment, well, with those famous sled dogs, how they are so tough and they're so durable to race in such extreme weather. Most of them are those Alaskan Malamutes and Alaskan Huskies. The third segment, well, you met Mardo, the incredible narc dog. I wouldn't want to meet him on any dark street at night, especially if I was in the drug business. What you got to remember about your dogs is you got to feed them and you got to water them, and most of all, you got to exercise them regular. Dogs are amazing animals. It's often been known that they're a man's best friend, but in reality, they're a person's best friend. They're there for you when nothing else is. So remember to water them, to feed them, and to exercise them regularly, and most of all, to give them a lot of love. I'm Dick Pannier, and that's those amazing dogs. Let's go, Andy.